things that I want you to understand about Malcolm. He is an excellent example of how one starts here with one viewpoint, and after the experiences, it goes back to your question that you raised. If you're here now, how do you think you're shift? Well, Malcolm was one who first took the position, I'm here, and this is where I'm going to stay in terms of my ideology. But as he experienced life, and one of the major changing points for him was his religious transformation. And when he went to Mecca, he came back and he said, I'm no longer feeling that I need to keep separated from whites and that all of my actions toward them should be violent. I believe now in really what he called the development of humankind, and that I should then collaborate with whites more than I thought originally. So he is a prime example of how one could be at one end, which some might say was an extreme, but as he lived and experienced, he got to another point. But did he lose his primary goal? No. And what do you think that primary goal was? For his people, but he then extended it to what? Humankind. There you go. So I'm not just focusing on African Americans. I want all of us to be in a position of where we have equity and justice. And what was the foundation for primarily that shift? What was the foundation for his shift? What caused him to move from that position of whites are dispensable, that we can destroy them? What made him move from that?
His religion.
There you go. And what religious experience was that? Islam. But Islam, and that's a critical point, he started as what we would call what? A black Muslim. But then he moved toward what he considered to be, or what was considered to be, the more traditional Islam. So we see that one can change based on what one experiences and what one begins to learn. But your foundation points were excellent ones, and you set us on the right path. Any questions? Okay. May I tell you that I had an opportunity to meet Malcolm X when I was a student at Morgan. Malcolm X came to Morgan State University to debate the issue of black nationalism with, at that time, what was considered to be, or who was considered to be, a leading white historian who took the position that in many ways Malcolm X's position was not the right one for African Americans. And Malcolm X and he had a major debate. August Meyer and Malcolm X right here in Baltimore. So critical juncture for Morgan students to meet a giant at that time. And that was in, of course, the 60s.
That's what she got to you from, right?
Which one?
I want to see the bird too.
She missing like 3. She missing 3.
So we information that you want, so
She's not going to see big film in her head, that's all.
What's right?
Can you check them all? Take them all these questions.
that's like summarize what we just went through. But this can be used for evidence.
Oh, that's not my teacher teacher. Because all her baby teeth.
Alright. This is an article out the Baltimore Sun newspaper. It's talking about how when Mark Brown, I think it was like a couple days ago, he was talking about how, we were all talking about how blacks, like it would be hard for them to get a job if they had a felony or something on their record, some kind of conviction. Legislation just passed that will help people like that. However, on the back set of 5 questions. So I'm gonna read the questions aloud. You can go along with me. Like for example, number 1, what will the ban the box legislation accomplish? We understand what that question is asking.
What did they achieve from them?
There you go. All right, number 2, what does this law require employers to do with those who have criminal records? You understand that?
Yep.
All right, number 3, how many states and local governments have laws that restrict when some employers can ask a job candidate about previous convictions? You understand that part?
Number 3.
Yeah.
It's just basically saying.
That's straightforward.
Yeah, it is.
All right, number 4, do you believe this piece of legislation is fair? And explain. And then number 5, do you believe that pieces were put in place by white supremacist institutions to hold people with convictions back, or was it their fault? So this question ties to the spectrum. Is it under white supremacy, or is it black people's fault? Do you think the legislation is necessary? Yes.
So, about the legislation and the people that criminal backgrounds. So what if I commit a crime that I didn't do? What would it be about that? And they know somehow I didn't commit the crime, and I still had it on my record, and I still try to apply for a job.
I mean, tell me it may be an argument. And then we did have a speaker, was it last week? When we graduated, he came up here, he didn't do the crime, but he served 4 years.
Oh yeah, true.
Alright, so take the time out to read as well. Page in the back. 2 pages in the very 5 questions in the back.
Let's start the reading.
Give me a lighter.
No.
Bring me 1, 2, come on, JJ.